Hi YouTube friends, I'm Heidi Villegas with Healing Harvest Homestead, and I'm getting ready to pick some blackberry leaves. This is one of our blackberry bramble thickets that are on the property. You can see the berries aren't quite ripe yet, so we'll talk a little bit about the berries, but mainly right now I want the leaves. Usually you want to pick your leaves in the spring if you can. They are full of great medicinal benefits, so we'll go ahead and talk about how I'm going to be using these leaves in just a moment. Yes, let's go ahead and talk blackberry really quickly. All right, so blackberry happens to be a member of the Rosacea family. Tons of Rosacea members of the family. Hawthorn's another one, obviously roses and things like that. They're very astringent. They're a very astringent family full of tannins. So blackberry is a genus of Rubus, and Rubus also includes your raspberries and thimbleberries and things like that. There are probably over 200 or so known species of blackberry. They're all used pretty interchangeably, which is nice because you don't really have to know which species you have. Like some plants, you have to know what species you're using, like Hypericum, which is St. John's wort. There's only a couple that are medicinal. The best one to use is Perforatum, and I'm just going on now about St. John's, but the point is that with your blackberries, if you've positively identified it as a blackberry, you are good to go. And so blackberry leaf, and you can find these growing in the wild, they're going to have toothed edges. The leaflets are going to come in groups of 3 to 5, okay? The stem, and at least in this plant that I've got here, is red, and you will see spines. They do have spines on them. See if I can find some. The leaves are usually pretty spiny on many of them, and they tend to grab onto you. So they love to just grab this leaf here. Let me see if I can find a 5-leaf one. So this one has 4, actually, 4 leaflets. And then there are some that have just 3, and then some have up to 5 leaves. The flowers, just so you can see what one of the flowers looks like here, they're very, very similar to a rose flower, a wild rose. Very, very similar looking with the 5 petals, and they're just very pretty. They're just very, very lovely. Let's talk about foraging. If you're out in the wild and you're foraging for blackberry, you can know, first of all, that it's an invasive species, and an invasive species basically means that it's a plant that was brought over to us and it competes with the native plants, and blackberry is one that can just take over. So it's very, very safe to use. So you don't really need to feel afraid of using too much of it, honestly. And even the roots, which, you know, if we're using root parts of plants, we are having to pull them up, and sometimes that will kill the plant. In the case of blackberry, they spread like crazy, so that's not really a concern. There's a common poisonous look-alike that you need to be careful of if you are foraging for blackberry, and that would be poison oak. So if you see the berries, you're good to go. But if you're foraging in the spring and it's before the berries, just know that blackberries have canes, what are known as canes, and they kind of tend to make a thicket, and poison oak will wrap around and vine up a structure or something. So there's some differences there. The leaves are different slightly. You can see the deep toothed edges on the blackberry leaves. Your poison oak won't necessarily have that either. All right, so let's talk about some of the uses for the blackberry. So this is a great plant. All of the parts are useful of blackberry, so that's awesome. You can use the leaves, obviously you can use the berries, they're delicious, and you can use the root too. So today, like I said, I'm going to be focusing on the leaves. So let's go ahead and start there. Blackberry leaf is a wonderful, wonderful to use in herbal teas. It's very, in fact, all the parts of blackberry are going to be very astringent and tannic. And that means that they will tighten and tone tissue in the body. So for topical use, like hemorrhoids, you can make a strong tea and apply a little compress with the leaf. And if you really want it to be tightening and toning, use the root. For conditions like diarrhea, which is a wet condition in the body. Your blackberry leaf tea is amazing. And then if you really want it tighter, if you're really having like dysentery and you're really struggling with diarrhea that just won't go away, I'd suggest using the blackberry root. If you have IBS, for example, I have made suggestions to some of my students and clients to try a blackberry root tea about 30 minutes before you have to go anywhere if you are worried about repercussion. All right, let's talk about some of the other wonderful uses of blackberry. So it's very nutritious. It's full of vitamins A, B, C, K, and E, and the seeds of the blackberry are also full of wonderful essential fatty acids that are excellent for your skin. So eat away, eat those berries. The berries are low sugar. They're helpful for managing glucose levels in terms of, if you want something sweet, they're not going to spike your blood sugar necessarily. Do talk to your doctor about all that, though. I am not a medical doctor. I'm an herbalist, and there's a bit of a difference there. You can see in one of my older videos where I compared the two. A lot of people come to herbalists and they expect medical advice, and that's not what we do at all. So let's go into some specific benefits for the body. So because of the astringency and the tightening nature of the leaves and the roots especially, any condition in the body that's kind of flaccid or lax can benefit from blackberry. So let's talk male and female reproductive health. Blackberry leaf can be very, very helpful as a tonic for enlarged prostates and prolapsed uterus. In fact, it's so similar to raspberry, and most people have heard how wonderful raspberry leaf is for pregnant women because it's a uterine tonic. It tones the uterus. Blackberry leaf can be used interchangeably with it. It's a little bit more astringent than raspberry is, so that's something to be aware of. And by the way, I do feel very strongly that you need to be very careful if you're in the first trimester of your pregnancy, and I tend to just avoid pretty much everything is what my suggestion is. Some herbalists will say that raspberry leaf is fine during the first trimester and obviously for the rest of pregnancy, but I would say to avoid blackberry for sure in that first trimester. And then, but raspberry is more gentle for pregnant women. Just a little aside on that. We just talked a little bit about how it's toning for diarrhea and wet conditions of the intestines. So really any place in your body where you've got mucous membranes that are lax or oozing or wet, this is going to be a really great plant for. If you have bleeding gums or, issues with your mouth, blackberry leaf wash is wonderful. You can use it in mouthwash. And I have an herbal mouthwash recipe. We'll link to that as well. But blackberry leaf can be one that you can add to it. So that's kind of nice too. Okay, another really wonderful use for blackberry is with stomach issues. It's great for the digestive system, again, because it's tightening and toning, but specifically for ulcers caused by H. pylori bacteria. There have been some clinical studies on blackberry leaf that state that it can be helpful for that, and there's other herbs that can be used too. Isn't it wonderful that the herbs that we can pick and take that are right in our yard oftentimes can help with things like this for us? It's amazing. We just have to know what to do with them. Finally, I just want to mention skincare. So blackberry leaf and really any astringent plant can oftentimes be really wonderful for your skin. Sometimes people who have aging skin like me might be a little worried about using astringent herbs because they're so drying at times. The tannins are drying. But when you are tightening your skin, you're toning it, and that really helps with wrinkles. It helps with elasticity, and your blackberry leaf can be really nice to help you with that. So I just also want to mention that in terms of the nutrition, blackberry is full of minerals. It's full of the vitamins, which I just mentioned a minute ago, and all of the parts of the blackberry are going to be nutritious. It's not just the berry, it's actually the leaf and the root too. So you can use the entire plant. The best time to pick your leaves are in the springtime if you can. We've had a very long cold spring, so even though we're coming into July here, this is July 4th. This is the 4th of July. These leaves are still perfectly fine to pick. You can pick them later in the summer too, but they're just really much nicer in the in the springtime. And then obviously the berries aren't even close to being ripe yet. We've got probably another good month and a half before we'll be harvesting the berries. Let's go ahead and talk about how to prepare your blackberry. Because blackberry is so high in your minerals and your nutrition, really the best solvent to use would be vinegar. I really love blackberry leaf vinegar. You can actually put the berries in there too. The vinegar tends to extract the tannins really well as the mineral content and the nutrition. So I really like vinegar. Water for like your blackberry leaf tea is also really nice because water extracts those minerals and the vitamin content as well. So water and vinegar are probably my two favorite solvents to use to work with blackberry leaf. But I just want to mention tincturing. So tincturing can actually be very effective if you're using the right proof alcohol. So if you're going to go ahead and make a blackberry leaf tincture, I suggest working with a 60 or an 80 proof alcohol because you've got a really good amount of water in there. And for example, 80 proof alcohol is 40% alcohol and 60% water. So you're going to get a nice extract still and extract of the tannins at least. The nutritives like the minerals aren't going to come out as well, but you'll still get the tannic properties and that's good too. And then the berries, obviously you could do jam, you can do cordials, you can make meads, you can do elixirs. The berries are amazing to work with in terms of delicious different kinds of preparations, and you're still going to get your vitamins and your minerals too. So anyhow, I hope you enjoyed this quick little rundown on blackberry, the Rubus genus, and many species of this plant. It's wonderful. I just love it. I just wanted to say too that in terms of blackberry, it's one of those plants that even though it came here, you know, on a ship somewhere probably, and it's invasive, it's just been a wonderful blessing to our country. I feel like it is one of those plants that gives and gives and gives. It provides food for the birds, it provides food for us, and lots of nutrition, and the whole plant can be used without fear. So I really love blackberry as a medicinal herb and also as a food herb. All right, so while we're talking about blackberry, I would like to say that this video is sponsored by the Confident Herbalist Tribe, which comes from my School of Botanical Arts and Sciences. And if you want to learn more about actually preparing and using many of these medicinal plants, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of recipes for the medicinal plants, I have a whole master class on blackberry and raspberry with recipes and remedies, and we go really deep into the phytochemistry and how they work on the body. Plus there are over 55 other master classes in the Confident Herbalist Tribe. I would love to have you join us over there. It's always great to have new members. We have a wonderful student community of over 400 people, and many of them have been with me for years and years and years, and most of them have been actually. And it's just really a great way to learn herbalism in community. So I'd encourage you to join us. I'll put a link above so that you can check that out if you like to. So I hope you enjoyed this quick video on blackberry. All right, so I'm Heidi Villegas with Healing Harvest Homestead and the School of Botanical Arts and Sciences, and I am signing off for today. I hope that you will subscribe, like, and share this video.